Are you ready to turn your slice into a baby draw permanently? All right, first understand that I've divided this into two parts. The first part that you're watching now is all about how to do it and what to do. In the second part, I'm going to talk about why. But what we're going to do first is just get the big picture overview, and there's three things that you're going to fix today. The first one is that if you're slicing, the first thing you have to fix is your swing plane. Most golfers who are slicers swing over the top, and we're going to address that first, and it's going to be a super easy fix. The second thing is, once your swing is on plane, then you simply have to release the club, which is going to be easier than you've ever thought possible because the release, when you do the axiom, is automatic. The third thing and the final thing is we're going to get the arms, body, and club to all move in perfect sync. They'll literally feel like they're like gears. So if you feel like your swing's disjointed and all uncoordinated, you're going to feel how everything is going to shift because you're going to start moving in one direction. The arms, the body, and the club will all be moving in one direction throughout the entire swing. So let's dive in here. But before I begin, I just want to make one thing clear, that everything I'm going to describe right now is all going to be referenced as a right-handed golfer. So if you're a left-handed golfer, you'll have to transpose this. So right will be left and clockwise will be counterclockwise. And that's what we're going to start with first. So what I want you to do is stand up with me and imagine, set up as if you were going to hit a ball, and then look at the wall back behind you. If you're in your house, and I look at a wall, and I want you to imagine there's a clock on that wall. So you're looking back at this clock. As you're looking back at this clock on the wall, 12 o'clock is at the top, of course. 3 o'clock will be here, 6, and 9. The reason this is important is because the whole reason that you slice, the biggest reason, is most golfers are swinging over the top, and that makes it basically impossible to square the face. And even if you did, you'd hit a big pull. So to get the ball to start on line, the club has to be approaching the ball from a relatively square path. If you're coming out across it, we're done. So if you can understand how to read a clock and know which direction is clockwise versus counterclockwise as you're looking at a clock on the wall behind you, then you will never swing over the top again. And here's why. The whole trick to the golf swing, to never swing over the top and never slice again, is to get your right arm to move in a little clockwise circle. And at first I'm going to do this in a big circle so it's easy to imagine my hand going in a big clockwise circle. So if I get my right hand to start making this little clockwise movement, I want you to do this with me. So imagining the clock on the wall behind you, you're just tracing 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and just keep doing this movement. As you're doing this, you're going to note that your shoulder's moving a little clockwise circle, your elbow's moving a little clockwise circle, your wrist and your hand, everything is moving in a clockwise circle. Now, get your wrist to move your hand in a little clockwise circle, almost like you're swinging a lasso. Like we're all loving watching Yellowstone these days, right? So we're all going to be cowboys for the day. You're going to imagine you're swinging a lasso. Now, if you can do this movement, a little clockwise circle with your arm that starts from the shoulder and continue that motion all the way to the wrist, you're going to instantly set the club on plane and have more lag than you've ever known what to do with. Watch as I grab a club and I do the same motion. So I'm just making a little clockwise circle. All right? My wrist is moving clockwise. If I just move my wrist, you can see that motion. If I move my arm and my wrist, what's happening to the club? So we know that the death move for golfers who are slicers is swinging this way. What direction, if you're swinging over the top, would your hands be moving? Clockwise or counterclockwise? That's it. Do you see it? It's so simple. If you can read a clock and you understand counterclockwise versus clockwise, you can stop swinging over the top right now. Because the moment that you start doing this and moving your wrist and your arm clockwise, look what happens to the club. How would you ever swing over the top? Swinging clockwise. It's not possible. The whole reason you swing over the top is because you're moving counterclockwise. So now, as we start putting this into the context of a golf swing, you can see that all I would be doing is shallowing out the club, be able to release the club from the inside, and when you look at it from face on, I've got lag for days, because if you're casting the club, typically what's happening is, again, you're moving counterclockwise and your wrist is extending this way. As you're moving your wrist in this clockwise circle, again like the little lasso move, look what happens to my club. It sets. So now I've got lag for days And it's easy to produce Ben Hogan-esque lag, Sergio Garcia-esque lag, when you understand that all you have to do is move your arm in a clockwise circle. Okay, so you've got this idea. The whole trick to getting the club on plane is this clockwise circle. But now, how do we get that to release? Go back to your lasso movement with your wrist, this little clockwise loop with your wrist. Once you're doing this, as you continue to come down into the hitting area and you keep feeling this clockwise movement, all you have to do is continue that direction until the club automatically releases. You're going to see that as you rotate your wrist clockwise and the shaft falls and you have all this leverage, this lag, it naturally wants to release. You don't have to do anything. You're going to feel this for yourself. So if you haven't already, grab a club, make this clockwise loop with your arm, let the club and wrist set as you continue to make a clockwise movement with your wrist. And as you keep doing this, the more that you let it start to set all the way back as far as that wrist will go, once you're there, it's naturally going to turn over. You don't have to think about the release. You don't have to think about timing it. If you simply rotate your wrist, it's going to set and get it to release. Isn't that cool? All you have to do, this clockwise movement, once I'm here, you'll see your wrist wants to keep moving clockwise. It just keeps doing that, and that is the whole secret to a properly timed release, is you don't time it at all. You just move clockwise, and you feel this for yourself. It just keeps moving clockwise, which makes it release perfectly at the right time every single time. Now let's look at how to integrate this with the body. So set the club down for a second and understand that the whole way that you have to get your body to move is shockingly simple, and it's going to blow your mind how easy this is. All you have to do is shift pressure in a clockwise circle around your right foot, and you'll have perfect body movements just like Tiger Woods or any other great ball striker. So now we're going to imagine a clock on the ground. So 12 o'clock is straight in front of me, 3 o'clock is to my right, 6 and 9. So now clockwise is this way, and all I need to do is shift pressure around the perimeter of my right foot in a clockwise circle. And this, once you see how this all ties together with your arms and hands, you're going to be perfectly in sync. So what we're going to do, just start shifting pressure. All I'm thinking about is going around the edge of my shoe. I'm at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm exaggerating this a little bit so you'll see my foot coming off the ground. And all I'm doing here is making a little clockwise pressure shift. I call this the merry-go-round. You're just going around and around a merry-go-round. But what you're going to notice is as you're going around in this clockwise circle, what's happening to your whole body? Your whole body is gyrating in sync with the pressure on your right foot. But all you have to feel is the pressure shift. That's it. As I'm doing this, you'll note that my knee is moving more than my ankle and my hip is moving more than my knee. It creates this butterfly effect. By simply focusing on the pressure shift around your foot, your whole body is starting to move in rhythm and in sync. Now, at some point, we want to get off this merry-go-round, and that happens at the bottom of the hour, or 6 o'clock. So you know by now that most amateurs, as they swing up, they start swinging over the top, they get way out on their toes. Even in the backswing, they start standing up and they fall over. If this is you, this is going to be a game changer, because what you need to feel is as you're shifting this pressure back in this clockwise circle, once you get to 6 o'clock, which would be the same as the top of your backswing, as you'll see in a moment when we add the arms back in. Once you're at 6 o'clock on your heel, your hips will be deeper, and as you start moving to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you're naturally starting to shift your hips back to the lead side. So if you're the type of golfer that hangs back and hits a flip, this is a game changer. You're getting naturally, by thinking about making a clockwise movement, you know exactly when and how to start shifting your weight back to your lead side. And as we do this, once we get to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we start moving up onto this big toe as we get closer to the top of the hour. We keep that clockwise movement going, and once I get onto my big toe, I'm using that to help rotate my hips. You see this? So I'm going to start 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You can see my hips starting to move, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Now I'm up towards my big toe, and I just drive that knee and hip forward to open my hips. And you'll see my lead leg naturally straightens. If you're the type of golfer who looks like this at impact, it's because you're simply not using this merry-go-round movement to get your hips open. Drive that knee forward off your big toe, and you have all your weight on your lead side, and you will naturally get your hips open and out of the way, which is critical to get the club to shallow out. You've got to make room for your hands to stop swinging over the top. Now, let's put all of this together. We don't need a club yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do your clockwise movement with your hand while combining this with the pressure shift, the clockwise pressure shift on your right foot. So now I call this playing air guitar, right? We're strumming up on the air guitar while on the merry-go-round. You're playing air guitar on the merry-go-round. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel how everything, your whole body, starts to sync up. You feel it? Naturally, without me telling you anything, as your arm starts to fall and come back down to strum up on the guitar, which would be getting into the release, you're naturally timing that with the pressure shift on your right foot, which is getting your weight all the way over, your hips open to make room for your elbow so you can throw, and all of a sudden your swing is in perfect sync. Now as I grab the club, you're going to see the same thing. I'm going to make this clockwise circle. Now as I get to the top of my swing, what would be the top of my backswing, as the club continues to travel in this clockwise circle, my pressure is at 6 o'clock. And as I start to move forward, note how the club falls as I go to get off the merry-go-round. And as I combine this at speed, you can see that there's no way I'm ever going to swing over the top here if I'm moving clockwise, and I'm going to not only stop swinging over the top, but I'm going to be able to use my legs for power and be able to do it in sync. That's what most golfers struggle with. They have no idea how to get their lower body to work with their upper body, and their upper body to work with their arms to work with their club, and it just feels all discombobulated. This is all moving your entire swing in one direction, clockwise. Everything is moving clockwise, and as you do this, you will never slice again. You'll be on plane, you'll have lag, so you'll have more power than you ever thought possible, and your body and your arms will be in perfect sync, moving everything in one direction. That's the key to golf. This is what makes professional level golfers look like they're swinging so smooth, because they're not trying to do what you're trying to do. Turn back, stop, and then turn in the other direction. They're moving in one direction. And that is the secret to fixing your slice and playing your best golf and realizing your true potential, because now you have perfect rhythm and tempo, you'll feel in sync, you'll be on plane, and you'll naturally release the golf club.